I'm hearing from many SEC and Big Ten fans that college football is ruined. But the Big 12, BYU, Utah, Texas Tech, just got the best news ever that evens the playing field. Finally, we get what we deserve. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to a Locked On Big 12, Locked On Baylor crossover. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. That's Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor. Thank you for making our shows your first listen every single day. We will start. Did you know the BYU Cougars went 11-1 last year and missed the playoff? The 12 team playoff. And it was the case for Utah, who I thought had a really good resume as well, and was in that. Remember the original rankings? Utah was at 13, 12, hovering around it, and got the boot. That's about to change with 24 teams, and the SEC cannot handle it. Then Matt Campbell, I thought was a good guy, but maybe I was wrong. He left Iowa State to go to Penn State, and he was their sloppy seconds. They wanted Kalani Sitake. Instead, they got Matt Campbell, who's a great coach, but he had an interview this week with On3 about taking players from Iowa State to Penn State that rubbed me the wrong way, and I hate being rubbed the wrong way.
It was admirable, trust me.
We also on 3 also interviewed Kalani Sitake this week about the Penn State job, and he said he nearly went to get that bag. Man just wanted to get paid. Why did he not make that move, and how Penn State forced him into a 24-hour decision period. If you hit subscribe, we get to keep our jobs. And if you're an everyday listener, locked on big12.supercast.com for ad-free Locked On Big 12 shows. Cam, the world is burning with a 24-team playoff. The Big Ten is upset. The SEC is upset. Oh, no. Mississippi State and Missouri in the regular season won't matter anymore. And what's crazy about this is a really good tweet from Nate Slack on Twitter. Stuart Mandel says, ACC, Big 12, Notre Dame support the 24-team playoff. The Big Ten does too, and the SEC is holding out.
Why does Notre Dame even need to, like... Notre Dame, like, you're good, man. You're good. Even if you're not good, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be a part of this. Sorry, this is Notre Dame, man.
Yeah, and they'll get 2 and 10. They'll get it no matter what,
dude. Like, you got an agreement in the contract. We don't need your support, Notre Dame. I'd rather you stay out of this. But anyway, go ahead. I have a lot of mixed feelings on this.
They'll get in no matter what. And Stu says, say goodbye to the best regular season in sports. If you love college football, time to stand up and make your voices heard. Best regular season in sports. Nate Slack says BYU's reward for 11-1 was the Pop-Tarts Bowl. What do you mean greatest regular season in sports? We've diluted it by allowing money, brands, fame to take over those 12-team slots. 24 is the only way to ensure that Oklahoma State and Drew Mestemaker, or Arizona Noah Fafita, or Baylor and DJ Lagway can get into the college football playoff with a fair shake.
Yes, and that's where I am so divided on this, because I agree with Stuart's point. I do think it takes away from the regular season, and that sucks. But to your point, it's like the 5th thing that has done that. You know what I mean? Like, it is not what will kill college football. Like, if you think that college football is in a dire state, it's because of a Mount Rushmore of things. You know, it's not just this. So I do hate what it could do to some big time rivalry games at the end of a season. Not Mississippi State, Missouri, but Ohio State, Michigan. You know, that could be, you know, the way those programs go, that could be years where they're both already in the playoff. It doesn't really matter. You know, Ohio State, yeah, nice to beat them, but like that, we will be taking away from that. UTA&M would be another one where one is in, one is not in, and it's like, oh, okay, we don't really need this. We're already going to make our way. It's 24 teams. We're ranked 7th in the country. You know, what's going to happen if we lose? So I do hate that, but I will concede that part of college football is already gone. Shehan Jayaraja had a great tweet a couple weeks ago about how he's just like, we lost this when we let it not be super local anymore, super regional, right? Like that's what was great about college football, is the people you worked with, it was people you went to school with in high school, it's your neighbors, and it was the Southeast Conference and it was the Southwest Conference. It was all in Texas plus Arkansas. That's where we lost our way. But 24 teams, unfortunately for me and my take, is great for the Big 12.
Can I
go for it? You finished 25th in the final poll last year, Drake. Houston was 23rd. 22nd. Sorry, Houston, 22nd.
This is also
teams in.
If the number, and it's skewed, it wouldn't work this way, but in theory, because you got the top 8 teams get a bye, and from there your seeding would move on to 16 teams, and that would mean that in essence, like the number 15 team in the country would play the number 16 team in the country in round 1. That's going to be a good game. Hey, the number 11 team plays the number 19 team. This is hypothetical. I'm not going to do the math right now.
Don't strain yourself.
But that's a lot better than Indiana playing against Tennessee in round 1, a 1 versus an 8. Those teams at 11 and 19 are much more evenly matched than the elites of the elites in the top 4 of college football. We really wanted to do, hey, who's the best team in college football? 4 can get us there. 4 is going to get us there. And 2 most years, hello, Indiana, would do that as well. We're now asking who's the best team in a tournament format. And at 24, I think we're still going to get some banger first round matchups because you don't have the top cream of the crop that are going to play against, Boise State in round 1.
Yeah. That made me think when this 24 team thing got promoted or supported by Brett Yormark in the Big 12 of like, what was our biggest issue with the BCS? It was, it was a computer. It was a computer that was doing it. And this team, they just won by more points a couple more weeks. And that's why they're here. Like that was our biggest problem with the BCS. Then we get to the 14 playoff, and all of a sudden we're talking about quality losses. And I'm like, all right, this is where we're treading bad waters here. And now here we are at 24, which is going to happen, by the way. As much as I don't like it, it is going to happen.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes into your point there about like, most years 2 is fine. Most years 2 is fine. Almost every year 4 is fine. Yeah. I thought Florida State got hosed that year, but they probably weren't winning the national championship. Let's be honest here. The same way we will be honest about Tulane and Boise State and whomever the next ones are, Memphis or whomever. We need to be honest about that. But to go back to it, I think it also takes away from this kind of prestige of the playoff if last year's Houston team is in. That's a good team. It's a good team. They won 10 games. But like, is that team really going to win the national championship? Do we need to just get back to that way of thinking?
No, that's good. That's good. I do want the Utah Utes to get, because China Spring, think about high school football terms. The China Spring Cougars,
China Spring,
might only be good enough to be in the top 8 out of the 64 teams in 4A in Texas high school football, but they deserve that shot to win 3 or 4 games in the playoffs. That playoff run's a magical thing for that town, and the regular season is still, the stands are packed every night. We're going to see that in college football still. It doesn't change the mystique of a Saturday. I truly believe that. Let's go to Penn State.
Uh-oh.
Matt Campbell, bad guy. Locked on Big 12, Locked on Baylor crossover. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA postseason has heated all the way up. Every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer for you, and you can get started right now. New customers can bet $5. Get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets for just getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in one place. Check stats, trends, and matchups before you make your picks, which the whole experience is even better after that. I'm going with the San Antonio Spurs to win the NBA title. That's my futures pick, and it's a pick you can make right now on FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. FanDuel, play your game. Oh. LockedOnBaylor.supercast.com. LockedOnBig12.supercast.com for ad-free Locked On shows every day. I thought, before I play this video, it's a 2-minute clip, which is kind of long, but Matt Campbell talks about stealing Iowa State players and he tries to make it a sentimental, emotional thing. But Cam, I thought Matt Campbell was a good guy. I liked Matt Campbell, and the way he left Iowa State was the fans were like, okay, we get it. Nobody seemed just livid at the way he handled walking away. But you know what? I'll play the clip. Let's let the people decide.
Guys were willing to come with you to kind of share this journey with you. And how much does that matter to you? That there are guys that trusted their careers to you that want to keep playing for you now?
Yeah, and I'll tell you again, all this went down so fast at Iowa State that my number one goal was for our football team there to be taken care of. And ironically, as things unfolded after I left, I think it created a lot of question marks. And
so ironic.
I remember 2 weeks later, or a couple, maybe it's 3 or 4 weeks later, when the transfer portal opens, things kind of changed at Iowa State. They went the way they went, and I remember we had about
they had to hire a coach.
20 players and their families at Penn State for a visit, and I literally broke down in the first meeting with them because it was an overwhelming feeling that, number one, I felt a deep-seated responsibility to make sure those young men were taken care of, no matter where or what they were going to do, because those were our guys. And then number two, I think what was really critical was just the faith that they had in myself, our staff, and how we build a football program. And that is really the ultimate goal that I could have. Winning and losing, yes, nobody wants to win more than I do. I get it. That's our profession, our job. But the reality of our job is that we are in charge of 18 to 22-year-olds in the most critical point in their life. And I still deeply love and enjoy the process of helping a young man reach his full potential on and off the field and become the best that they possibly can be, and creating a team every fall that has a chance to reach their full potential, that they can be the best that they possibly can be. So, I think it was a really surreal moment. And it's been surreal, to be quite honest with you. I don't know if I would have ever imagined that was what this journey was going to look like, but to be able to do that with so many of our players, it has been a reward, and I've been very grateful to have them a part of this journey with us, for sure.
Okay.
What a coincidence. They just happened to come here. I couldn't believe it. 24 coaches, 24 players and families. I don't know what it was. They just ended up visiting here. They could have gone anywhere, Drake. Anywhere.
My number one thing was to put Iowa State in a good place, leave them in a good spot. And then they did what they did. You mean hire a new coach? Oh, well, then they did the thing. Yeah, you replace you because you left.
They made that regrettable decision to hire another football coach.
Right. And so I had no other choice but to take 20 players that very week and not just call them on the phone, but fly them to Happy Valley to check out the facilities and say hi to your old ball coach. But Cam, were you listening to him? He's a good guy.
Great guy.
He meant well. He just wanted to make sure these 18 to 22-year-olds were in a really good spot. These 21 to 26-year-olds were in a really good spot to win and have a great college experience. This wasn't about him. This is about making sure those kids didn't have to live in Ames, Iowa, which is the nicest thing he could ever do to them.
Why couldn't he just say, you know what? These guys are adults. They made their decision. We love having them continuing to grow under our staff. Why do you have to feed me this line that my number one thing was to leave Iowa State in a good spot? It's no, dude, your number one thing was to get a bag and become Penn State's head coach. Nothing wrong with that, right? That's fine. We all know what you're doing here, but now you're sitting here being and wouldn't you know, all of a sudden they want to come to me. It's crazy. It's crazy. But what can I say? Man, I'm just along for the ride. making people's lives, making people's dreams come true.
He's a good guy, man. He's just trying to. Nobody wants to win more. I got to do the right thing. I've got to steal all. This is what's the most frustrating part if you're an Iowa State fan. There was a point there were 15 or 16 players. That's less than the kids he brought to Penn State. There are more Iowa State players on the Penn State roster for 2026 than there are Iowa State players at Iowa State. But he's a good guy. He wanted the best for Iowa State, wanted to leave them in a great spot, wanted to leave in a cordial manner. I think he nailed it.
Like, how does that make Iowa State fans feel? This is the best coach in your history, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and he took them to places they didn't think they'd be. Playing for the Big 12 championship a few years ago, 6 years ago. They have guys going to the NFL, playing in Super Bowls. This is a doormat forever and ever. And then that happens on the way out. Like, you're already facing the reality of this guy's leaving because he can't win at the highest level here. Like, obviously he did some great things, but like play for a national championship, he can't do that here. And now he's going to just gut our roster because, Iowa State did what they did.
Right. They went and hired that guy. Jimmy Rogers. Coming up, Kalani Sitake almost did that, but he didn't.
More take, by the way. Yeah.
And he's been pretty honest about his motives. Here's how BYU was helped by Penn State in ensuring that Penn State did not get Kalani Sitake. This is Locked On Big 12, Locked On Baylor. Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor here with the Locked On Big 12 crossover. A great interview this week. Kalani Sitake and On3 sat down, and man, the quote from Kalani, I'll give that to you from the rip. It got real quickly after people started finding out about it. The decision-making process had to happen almost overnight. Looking at what Penn State was doing and what they were trying to offer, I had to decide what I wanted and what I considered compensation for me and what I was chasing. So in essence, Kalani was like, well, that's a lot of money for my staff, for myself, for my great-great-grandkids, max out your Roth IRA and save some of that for a rainy day. You get to go coach at State College. And I think the big problem here, because Cam, you'll remember Kalani almost did this. Then the Crumbles Cookie guy stepped in, and then Ryan Smith, all these different donors started saying, no. I've
got Crumble on the line. Kalani, I've got Crumble on the other line.
The tweet the CEO put out, like, I'll handle this. And then he did.
That was some aura. That did have some aura.
Yeah. 12 hours later, Kalani's staying at BYU. He wanted the bag. And typically for BYU fans, you'd see that and think, ooh, money grubbing. No, I don't think that was the case. He wanted his staff to get paid. He wanted to ensure his guys were in a good place. I don't think he's trying to pull a fast one. He deserved more money. You won 11 games last year in college football. You deserve more money. Penn State 12 games. Penn State shot themselves in the foot by saying, we know he's sentimental and emotional about this. Do it now. You have to decide tonight. What an idiot. They genuinely could have gotten Kalani had they not just full tilt boogie. You got to decide right now. Will you be my girlfriend? Say yes right now. Say yes.
Offers off the table in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And then she says, I don't think, nope.
Fine.
Too late.
Fine.
Didn't answer. Offer. No more offer.
We'll get one of your friends. We'll get that other girl that cheers about.
Yeah. Penn State folded on this to the benefit of BYU, and maybe if it makes Iowa State fans even more frustrated that Matt Campbell would leave. But I think in the end, Kalani Sitake knew what he could get out of Penn State, even if that meant staying at BYU, what he would get ultimately due to Penn State's offer.
Yep, and he will get a heck of an offer again. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. I don't know if he leaves, but like there will be other big programs that go after Kalani Sitake. And Drake, this might be a hot take, but Kalani Sitake for Penn State would have been a better option than Matt Campbell.
Okay, hit me.
And I really like Matt Campbell. Like I think what he did in Iowa State was pretty incredible. And certainly 3 or 4 years ago, that would have been like nailed on, great hire for anyone. Also in the Power 4, or the Power 2, Big Ten, SEC, like that would have been a great move for anybody who did that. But where we're living right now, in the year of our Lord 2026,
be where your feet are. Be where your feet are.
Be where your feet are. What he has done at BYU the last 2 years, with albeit a lot of resources, but if you're Penn State, you have a lot of resources. Kalani Sitake is the guy, man. 11-win season followed up by a 12-win season. He does it when the breaks go against him. He loses his starting quarterback in July, puts a true freshman out there, and they still win 12 games. Like, they didn't make the college football playoff, but there's a very real argument for them to be in the college football playoff, not just this past year, but the year before. So as much as I do like Matt Campbell, and what he did at Iowa State was great, you're looking at a guy at BYU who has resources pretty similar to you, where with your 100,000 seat stadium at Penn State, and saying, we can give the keys to let me put it this way. You say it to Matt Campbell, oh my gosh, what can this guy's winning 8 games consistently at Iowa State. What can this guy do with our resources? You look at Kalani Sitake, you see, oh, we know what this guy can do. He can win double-digit games consistently. He can have a top 20 defense in college football, which plays in our league. I know we talk about the Big 12 being the minors, but that plays in our league the way that they play football. And they do this. They say, come on, sign it. He doesn't sign it. And I don't think that Matt Campbell is as good a choice. I don't. It does remind me of something going on in Major League Baseball right now.
Oh, this may be the first time in my 4-year tenure with Locked On Big 12 we've brought up the MLB, but please, tickle
Alex Cora.
Okay. No, that
He's
name.
fired by the Red Sox. It's a real quick recap. When they had all this money and were spending it and getting premium free agents, Alex Cora was great for that team. And now he gets fired because they're not spending money, and the Phillies offer him the job the next day. He's had a couple last place finishes, but Dave Dombrowski, the GM at the Phillies, is like, hey, Alex, I do spend the money. I do get these players. I've seen what you've done with that when I actually invest in the team. How about you come here? It's the same thing. Like, we see Kalani Sitake when he has those resources that he does win. And now we can put him in our situation, which also has a ton of resources.
Yes. So in this spot is
he's
Cora,
hotter than Matt Campbell.
Right. Is Cora Kalani or is Cora Matt Campbell?
Cora is Kalani, and I can see how that's confusing. Cora is Kalani because he wasn't, they weren't making a World Series run or, winning the division when the Red Sox stopped spending money. The way that, Matt Campbell gets to a Big 12 championship game when they don't have a lot of money. And yes, money did still matter in 2020. They still made some good runs. They had good teams. They even won double-digit games at one point. I mean, crazy for Iowa State. So yeah, Alex Cora's Kalani Sitake.
I can see that. Yeah.
But look, the thing with Sitake is you got to go back. You got to go back a few years to even see what it looked like. I know the first year in the Big 12 was 5-7, correct?
5-7. Yep.
And you see a guy who made the transition from independent to Big 12 and got it going right away. As soon as the money became this endless thing in college football that we could use, he ran with it. That to me would be a better choice for Penn State than Matt Campbell. Maybe it's just because I didn't like that answer from Matt Campbell.
There was a time where, and this may upset some BYU fans, but I'm sticking to this, where Kalani could have been Bronco. Like, Bronco didn't exactly fall on his face and just suck altogether in his first few years in Provo. There were bright spots of the Bronco Mendenhall era where you're like, oh, he could be long-term play. Kalani had a few of those, like, hey, you know what? BYU won 7 or 8 games as an independent, or BYU, won the first few, got into the top 20, and then bottomed out. That lost to Boise State in like 2021. I remember there were a few things where you're just like, Kalani's not a national championship head coach. Right. Can't win at the highest level, but he's really good for what BYU is. And that was the rhetoric around Bronco until that rhetoric ran out. Now, with the resources, with the way he fits BYU, I don't think there's a human being on the planet that is a better fit for BYU and a better fit to win championship. We got to the championship game in the Big 12 last year for BYU. With the right resources, I get it. He's not the rah-rah guy. Title game comes around. He's not the Joey Maguire, get in your face. Come on, we need some dogs out there.
The Matt Campbell verbally assaulting the referees.
Right. But
to be fair, he was
his level-headed consistency is what's going to ensure long-term consistent longevity out of the BYU program. So I think BYU wins with Kalani Sitake. Penn State, they jumped the gun on thinking, hey, we can force them into an emotional decision right now and try to keep the ethos, the pathos out of this and just force it. Couldn't do it, and it worked out well for BYU. Where would you? We got like another 30 seconds. Where would you rank Kalani in the list of Big 12 coaches?
Ooh. Blind. I'm putting him in the top 4.
I said top 3.
Yeah,
you lost. I mean, there would be a conversation with Kyle, not anymore.
Yeah,
there would have been a conversation with Gundy, not anymore. There would have been a conversation with
Campbell, even though I just said that Kalani's hotter. Correct. In terms of overall depth and breadth.
You would have talked about Aranda, not anymore. Scott Frost.
5 years ago, you were
Rich Rod. No, I think Kalani's squarely right now.
18 years ago, you would have talked about Rich Rod. Yeah.
Today, top 3 coach in the Big 12.
Yeah, so obviously text the program now, but I guess Joey Maguire. I like Joey, but
Kalani's doing the same with less.
Yeah.
And text landing. Yeah.
This is. I don't love using this take that I'm about to use. I'm a masochist. I'm going to do something I don't like to do here.
Great.
But Kalani needs one thing to break his way. And he is coaching in a Final Four or, God forbid, a national championship game. You know what I mean? They have been close to having as close as you can get the last 2 years for having a seat at the table. And maybe if Jake Retzlaff is there the whole year, that's something that did not break their way. That was a weird, wild, and ended up almost fabricated situation, right? That kind of screws BYU right before the season. So college football can be like that, man. You need something to break your way. And Kalani Sitake has done everything else. They just need something to break their way one of these seasons. And we're talking about him doing something really special at BYU and him being one of the best college football coaches in the country. Not top 5 in the country, but
up there. But in the conversation for one of the best.
If he makes the CFP next year, he's in a top 10 conversation.
Top 10, yeah. That's Cameron Stewart, Locked On Baylor. This has been, it always will be. Locked On. Thanks for making our shows your first listen every single day. Crossover, Baylor, and Dose Grande.